A soldier loses his wife in what appears to be a tragic train accident, but when a strange mathematician shows up at his door with evidence that the crash wasn't an accident at all, everything changes. Convinced that someone is responsible for her death, the grieving husband begins a relentless hunt for answers. What starts as a search for justice soon turns into a dangerous mission filled with revenge, unexpected allies, and a shocking truth that no one saw coming. This is the story of Riders of Justice 2020, a movie that blends action, dark comedy, and mystery into one unforgettable ride. The story begins in Denmark, where an old white-bearded priest visits a bicycle shop along with his niece. He intends to buy a red bicycle as a Christmas present, but the girl explains that she wanted a blue one. The shopkeeper responds that he only has a red one at the moment and asks them to come back later, promising to get a blue one. As soon as the two leave the store, the shopkeeper calls two men and tells them to steal a blue bicycle. Shortly after, a white van pulls up in front of a train station in Denmark. Nearby, a blue bicycle is locked to a pole. Two men quickly get out of the van, steal the bicycle, and drive off without drawing any attention. The next day, the owner of the bicycle, a girl named Mathilde, is talking with her mother Emma inside a car, complaining about the theft. Without the bicycle, it is hard for her to get to school, and the situation gets worse when Emma's car suddenly breaks down. Emma then calls her husband Marcus and tells him the bicycle was stolen and that the car broke down too. Marcus, who is serving as a soldier in Afghanistan, says he will come home. After taking a deep breath to calm herself, Emma decides to take Matilda to school by train, trying to make the best of the situation. Meanwhile, elsewhere in the city, Otto and Leonard are giving an important presentation to their superiors. They are trying to convince their bosses to invest in an ambitious project, an algorithm capable of predicting future events by analyzing large amounts of past data. Otto enthusiastically explains how the system works and emphasizes the importance of historical data, but the idea fails to convince their superiors, and the two end up getting fired. Later, as Otto is about to take the train home, he notices a man in the car with an eagle tattoo. When the train stops at the station, Otto watches the man stand up, throw away the sandwich and drink he had been consuming, and exit the car. The strange behavior triggers a feeling of suspicion. Shortly after, Matilda and Emma board the same train and end up in the same car as Otto. Noticing that Emma is uncomfortable standing, Otto insists that she take his seat. Then suddenly, tragedy strikes. The train starts moving and violently collides with another train, causing a massive explosion of chaos and the destruction of the car. The impact destroys the right side of the train, and Emma dies instantly in the collision. After the accident, Otto is consumed by guilt watching Matilda's grief over her mother's death. The weight of the situation torments him, since Emma had been sitting in the exact seat he had given up. Elsewhere, Marcus receives the devastating news that his wife died in the accident. Overwhelmed by pain and guilt, he immediately returns home, feeling that he failed to protect his family. As he tries to cope with the loss, his mind is torn between his life as a soldier and the emptiness left by Emma's sudden death. Even so, Marcus insists on seeing his wife's body at the hospital one last time, despite the nurse's warnings about the condition she is in. Meanwhile, Otto is watching the news and comes across another important piece of information. The train accident also killed a key witness in a criminal case, the same intimidating man with the eagle tattoo he had seen in the car. The news immediately catches Otto's attention because that man had been about to testify against the motorcycle gang known as the Riders of Justice. With this, Otto begins to suspect that the accident may not have been just a tragedy. To him, there is a possibility that the whole thing was planned to eliminate the witness and prevent the gang's leader from being brought to justice. Determined to uncover the truth, Otto rushes to the police station to report his suspicions. However, the police do not take his theories seriously and dismiss the idea, stating there is no evidence linking an accident to a motorcycle gang. Even so, Otto does not give up. He decides to investigate on his own and asks Leonard for help hacking into the train server to recover the security camera footage from the moments before the accident. Slowly, the investigation begins, leading them down a path full of risks and uncertainty. Meanwhile, Matilda and Marcus try to cope with the loss of Emma. Marcus maintains a cold and controlled demeanor, but Matilda notices that her father is deeply shaken and suggests he seeks psychological help. Even so, Marcus refuses, insisting that he can handle everything on his own. During this period, Otto and Leonard go to Marcus's house and reveal everything they have discovered about the possibility that the accident was a planned murder. Surprised by the revelation, Marcus invites them in and asks them to explain everything in more detail. Otto then goes over all the details, including the strange behavior of the man who left the train shortly before the collision. Upon hearing this, Marcus feels a new sense of determination rise within him to discover discover the truth behind Emma's death. Determined, he asks Otto and Leonard to identify the suspicious man and try to locate his whereabouts. Recognizing the seriousness of the situation, the three begin an intense search for answers. To move the investigation forward, Otto turns to an old friend named Emmenthaler, an extremely talented hacker. With his help in advanced facial recognition software and digital analysis tools, the group begins sifting through massive databases and surveillance recordings in search of any clue about the suspect. At first, some leads seem promising, but identifying the man with precision turns out to be much harder than they imagined. Despite the difficulties, Otto and Leonard do not give up. Meanwhile, Marcus is consumed by anxiety and grief. The weight of Emma's death remains present, but his determination to discover the truth stays firm. After a long analysis, a breakthrough finally emerges. Emmenthaler finds a possible match in the data. A man named Paul Wolfson, brother of Kurt Wolfson, the feared leader of the motorcycle gang known as the Riders of Justice. The discovery has a major impact on the group, further strengthening the suspicion that the train accident may have been something far more serious than it appeared. While Marcus waits for new information, Matilda arrives home with her boyfriend. Marcus clearly does not like the boy's presence, but decides to stay quiet out of respect for his daughter. The situation changes when the young man displays disrespectful behavior. Marcus's built-up frustration explodes. Matilda is furious at what happened. Realizing he lost control, Marcus genuinely apologizes to his daughter. He then asks her to take her boyfriend home so the two of them can talk and work things out. Meanwhile, in the living room of Marcus's house, Otto, Leonard, and Emmenthaler share new information. They confirm that the mysterious man seen on the train was indeed Paul Wolfson, brother of the gang's leader. Determined to confront him and discover the truth about the accident, the group goes to Paul's house. However, the situation turns tense when he receives them in a hostile manner, pointing a gun at them. In the middle of the tension, Marcus reacts instinctively. Realizing the gravity of what just happened, Leonard quickly takes control of the situation. He organizes the cleanup of the scene, removes the evidence, and tries to erase any trace that could link Marcus to what occurred. During this process, Leonard makes an unexpected discovery inside the house. He finds a young man being kept prisoner there. The revelation leaves him confused, unsure exactly how to handle the situation. Back at Marcus's house, Matilda tries to make things right with her boyfriend, Sirius. To do so, she invites him to have dinner with them, trying to repair the conflict caused by her father's outburst. Even with the attempt at reconciliation, Marcus remains closed off and avoids talking about his feelings. After dinner, he sits down in front of the television and starts watching the news. During the broadcast, the reporter announces that Kurt, the leader of the motorcycle gang, managed to escape justice after the key witness in the case died in the train accident. Despite the death of his own brother, Kurt appears to coldly celebrate his freedom, showing complete indifference toward the consequences of everything that happened. Watching this, Marcus is overtaken by an intense mix of grief and outrage. Driven by that feeling, he decides to take justice into his own hands. The next day, Marcus gathers Otto, Leonard, and Emmenthaler once more. He offers the barn behind his house as a base of operations for what they intend to carry out. He asks the three of them to investigate everything they can about the organization and uncover every possible detail. Otto and the others agree to help with the investigation, but make it clear they do not intend to take anyone's life. Even so, they all remain united in the mission to expose those responsible and honor Emma's memory. Meanwhile, Matilda watches Marcus and his friends leaving the barn together and starts to worry about her father's behavior. Seeing them leave, something catches her attention, and she decides to ask Marcus directly who those people are. Faced with his daughter's question, Marcus does not know what to say. Noticing his discomfort, Leonard quickly steps in and invents an explanation. Casually, he says that the four of them are part of a therapy group created to help Marcus deal with the trauma of his loss. To make the story more convincing, Leonard even offers to be Matilda's therapist as well. Relieved by the response, she believes her father is finally seeking help and accepts the offer with gratitude. Meanwhile, elsewhere, things take a much darker turn. Kurt and his men resort to cruel methods to find out who killed Paul. They capture Bodashka, the young man who had been held prisoner at Paul's house, and begin interrogating him. Even while enduring a great deal of pain, Bodashka resists and reveals only a mysterious clue. He mentions the name Emmenthaler. Back at Marcus's house, the mood is one of quiet determination. Determined to go after Kurt and his motorcycle gang, from there they begin planning their mission of justice and revenge. During the preparations, Emmenthaler complains about Marcus's old computer and says he needs to use his own equipment for the work. Recognizing the importance of the technology to the investigation, Marcus, Otto, and Leonard agree to go to his house and retrieve everything that is needed. What they do not know is that Kurt's men have already tracked down Emmenthaler's address and are watching the place. The moment the group enters the house, they fall into an ambush. Kurt's men open fire on them without warning. Acting on pure instinct, Marcus shields Otto and Leonard and reacts immediately. With skill and precision, he fights back and manages to eliminate all the men in the ambush. After the confrontation, Marcus finds Bodaschka locked inside a nearby vehicle and frees him. They also take the automatic weapons that belong to the attackers. Marcus then takes everyone back to his house to regroup and plan their next steps. Upon arriving, Marcus tells Otto and the others to stay hidden for a while, since Kurt and his men will certainly be looking for them. Aware of the danger, the group begins to grow closer and closer, forming a strong bond while sharing the same mission. As the days pass, Otto, Leonard, and Emmenthaler also develop a close relationship with Matilda, finding some comfort in her company. While staying hidden, Marcus begins teaching the three of them shooting techniques, preparing everyone in case they need to defend themselves. Meanwhile, Kurt and the rest of the gang discover the connection between Otto, Leonard, and Emmenthaler. They send men to track them down, but Emmenthaler manages to hack into the criminals' phones and discovers that they are planning to meet at a bar. With this information, Marcus and the group head to the location where they believe they will find Kurt and his associates. The confrontation happens right there. Marcus manages to eliminate Kurt and all the men who were with him. Later back at the house, Otto looks at Matilda's wall where she keeps notes and records about events in her life. Analyzing everything carefully, he notices that many events trace back to the theft of her bicycle. Otto then explains to Matilda that life is made up of an enormous chain of events and that many times it is impossible to point to a single cause for something as tragic as what happened. Meanwhile, Bodaschka reveals something unexpected during a conversation with Leonard. He explains that Paul was not on the train the day of the accident. The two of them were actually together in Germany at that moment. The revelation leaves Leonard stunned, and he rushes to tell Otto and the others. When they run the facial recognition on the computer again, they discover that the man they thought was Paul was, in reality, just an Egyptian railroad worker. At that moment, everyone realizes the truth. The train crash was not a planned attack. It was simply an accident. Coming to terms with this, Marcus is overtaken by an intense mix of guilt and frustration. Consumed by anger and remorse over everything that happened, he begins destroying objects around him. Meanwhile, the remaining members of the motorcycle gang manage to find a lead on Otto through a social media post. They track down Sirius, Matilda's boyfriend, who had posted a photo of Otto with her, and force him to reveal where Otto is. The next day, using that information, the criminals attack Marcus's house. Several gang members are wounded during the assault. Matilda ends up being taken hostage, and Marcus is disarmed. Leonard and Emmenthaler fall back on the shooting training Marcus had taught them. They set up an ambush and manage to eliminate the remaining criminals, rescuing Marcus and Matilda. With that, their mission finally comes to an end. The story then shifts to a lighter moment at Christmas. Marcus, Matilda, Otto, Leonard, Emmenthaler, and Bodaschka gather together to celebrate and exchange gifts. At the end of the film, the old priest appears again and delivers to his niece a blue bicycle, which is, in fact, the same bicycle that had been stolen from Matilda. If this video meant something to you, just pick one thing. Subscribe, drop a comment, or leave a like, whichever feels right. That's honestly more than enough, and I appreciate it more than you know. Thank you for your support. See you in the next one.